Good evening. This is Doc for your ReadySetCrypto OMNIA newsletter market update for Tuesday, the 3rd of March. Once again, the equities market dominates the discussion here. This morning, we had kind of an up and down market. We had at least a little bit of a rally started here, and then Fed Chair Jerome Powell stepped up to the mic and in a surprise announcement, cut the interest rates 0.5% today. I think everybody figured he was going to do a quarter point and sort of telegraph that for the meeting on March 18th. But for him to step up and preemptively cut 0.5 point is a fairly extreme action. And so the initial knee-jerk reaction was for the S&Ps to jump up about 80 points, that's a huge move, right? That's the equivalent of around 800 points on the Dow if you track that sort of thing. But then immediately after that point, and this is where I shifted into bear mode, I closed out a lot of the swing trades that I had set up from the bottom, and it started going bearish on the S&P because the thinking here is that when the Fed has to do something like that, that's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets. It's not going to suddenly get better tomorrow and the day after. And all of a sudden, the thinking behind him cutting 0.5 point means that he's trying to stop something before it happens, or perhaps he knows something that we don't know. So anytime there is an explosion of good news like that, the first instinct has to be to fade that move. Now we'll see what happens from here. We're down about 100 points on the S&Ps from that point at this juncture already. And it looks like we're going into an enormous bear flag so far. So things could get even more exciting as we get through the rest of this week. I had sort of anticipated a complex correction, so a lot of shake and bake up and down over the next few weeks. And as the reason I'm bringing this up to you guys is because this is going to affect the cryptocurrency market downstream. It always has, it always will, especially when we get volatility like this. One of the other things that we saw is because of the announcement, we actually dropped below intraday 1% on the 10-year note. Can you believe it? I mean, it's going to be to the point where I don't know if we're going to be getting to negative interest rates. I would hope not. But this is getting awfully close, down to 1%. I don't think anybody would have expected that. However, this is a great example of how technical analysis can help you understand what's going on. So not only the trend behind something like this, where we clearly have lower highs and lower lows, so the trend is going lower, and so the bond market knows something that's going on. And of course, the Federal Reserve is behind that, and so the surprises will come to the downside. So here's a great example of a fractal bear flag example. So this is a big weekly bear flag that took a number of months to play out. And then that led to a small little daily bear flag and then a release from there as well too. Who knows what happens at this point? We've gotten to the sort of point where it's beyond anybody's ability to project what's going to happen next. Best case scenario is everybody does the right things to make this virus go away. Certainty comes back into the market, and I think that you'll see a huge bump up in interest rates and perhaps even a hike at that point. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, all you got to do is just open up the media no matter where, and you can have a full dose of worst case scenario. All right, Bitcoin by itself is still doing kind of the same thing. There's really not much use in going through this. It's the same kind of thing. Really, this is more of a little flag pattern here setting up. And we're still above that major level of 8,000 to 8,200. So that is the major high volume node here, which has to hold in the short term for BTC and, well, for that matter, just about everything. Now, what's interesting here is that we could be setting up for an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So this is okay. If this sets up here, then we're going to have the formation of an inverted head and shoulders pattern, which is going to have a target, which is going to be the equivalent of this move here. So wherever that is projected to the upside, probably going to get us up near the recent highs from last year. That all presumes that this level does hold down here. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit more Bitcoin dominance coming back into the market right now. When you have selling coming in, this is where altcoins typically get punished a little bit worse than Bitcoin, which is viewed as a safe harbor. However, there's one coin that still continues to rock, and that is Chainlink. So Chainlink just about is the only winner right now, which is still going higher. If we look at some of our other swing trades that we do follow, some of these are also doing okay. Like Icon is starting to come out of the depths of the gutter. Ocean has been fairly strong lately, and I want to keep an eye on Hero because this is a really nice pattern starting to get some activity. XTZ, which is Tezos, same pattern as Bitcoin right now. That's just a flag pattern setting up. We'll have to watch and see whether or not it's going to break to the downside or the upside from this particular price box. Whichever way it breaks is the way that it's going to run next. And that is it for today's report. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.